Gay Pride celebrated in the capital this weekend with the annual World Pride Parade yesterday in London, and visual support for the first time from the government demonstrated with a rainbow flag flying above Whitehall. Now, with our local Pride Parade scheduled for the end of this month, I'm very pleased to be joined by Nottinghamshire musician of mixed British Caribbean descent who's set to headline the youth stage at this year's Pride Festival, Rob Green, along with the committee chair and vice chair of Nottinghamshire Pride, Angela Barker-West, and Ben Holmes. Lovely to have you all with us.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
A busy time for you all this month.
Very.
So we heard about Frank Ocean's revelation, and Rob, if I can speak to you first, an experience that's something you perhaps relate to?
Yeah, I mean, I think coming out is one of those processes that, you know, it's not always enjoyable, and it has mixed results for a lot of people. But I think, you know, at the end of the day, when it comes, I think for me, it was one of those things that I realised that being in the closet was something that I was doing to myself as opposed to doing for myself. And I think we have to really think positively and try and move forward. And it's really scary, but I think if other artists and people in good positions are supporting and showing that it isn't something to be, you know, really negative about, then, you know, people are going to be more courageous about being honest.
Were you surprised to hear Frank Ocean come out and speak openly about his sexuality?
I think, you know what, I wasn't in any mind about it. I think when he said it, I thought it was really interesting and really great that somebody, especially within that genre of music, has been so honest, because there is a lot of stigma about it. And, you know, I think a lot of the time, especially from, you know, I don't know, I think I have experienced in my life this kind of expectation that perhaps, you know, black men are, you know, they're not gay, they can't possibly be gay, it just doesn't happen like that. And I've actually heard people say that to me, and it's been one of those things that actually, not only is it not true, but as a, you know, somebody of Caribbean descent, it makes you feel a little bit like, oh, well then, I'm the only one. And, you know, I think that's why I came out and why I've been so honest about it from the beginning, because I don't want anybody who fits my description to feel like it's something that you should be hiding, really, or sending up. Just let it be part of your life, do you know what I mean?
Well, for Angela and Ben, committee chair and vice chair of Nottinghamshire Pride, Angela, is this something that you hear quite a bit, a similar experience of feeling that if you're black and gay, there's a problem?
I think it's kind of hard for black men especially to come out of the closet, just because, as Rob said, you know, it's one of those things where it's not supposed to be that way. That's the general norm of what people think in general, and it's not a good thing to actually have people in the closet, because it can cause all sorts of issues later on in life when they actually think, I've had a miserable life because I've always been somebody that I'm not.
Definitely.
I know on Twitter, Nottinghamshire Pride, you're very prolific, you tweet a lot and you've got a lot of followers. And one of the things that I thought was perhaps inevitable and really sad about Frank Ocean's revelation is that although the world of hip-hop and R&B, lots of musicians coming out in support, on Twitter in particular, you didn't have to search very far to find really horrible messages to him. Is that something that you have a lot of experience of, running the Nottinghamshire Pride Twitter accounts?
It's one of the things that you do notice, as when any celebrity or anybody comes out, you do unfortunately get this stigma attached, and you get the people that are not happy about it and they want to make their voice heard, that they don't agree. It's definitely with Frank Ocean, it's the genre of music, like Rob said, and the way that stigma is attached to that genre of music and the men within it, in particular, it definitely makes it harder. And it, as you said, it really wasn't hard to find some people that wanted to say they're against it, and that's what scares people sometimes into coming out. Definitely turns it into a negativity, as it were. They're scared.
We're talking about Frank Ocean coming out, and Rob, something again I think that you'll be able to relate to. He hasn't labelled himself that he's gay or bisexual. All he said was that his first love was a man.
Yeah.
Do you again relate to that idea of not wanting to label yourself as gay?
I think so, yeah. I mean, the thing with labels, as we experience throughout life, I think everybody experiences, is that it always becomes something that it locks you into one position. And the thing is, some labels we can claim happily. We can claim them in a good place and be like, yeah, that's my label and I'm happy with that. I think for me, it's just for me personally, I feel like, you know, I've been in love with men, I've been in love with women, I've dated both, and all of my relationships have been at the time that they happened, at least anyway, happy relationships, and you know they were, in all honesty, all fragments that have made me who I am. And I think to pick a label sometimes denotes, especially with bisexuality, I feel like sometimes it creates an image in people's heads of a particular type of person and brings up a lot of stereotypical images. And for me, I want people to get to know me fresh and not kind of build up the image. And it's also, I do the same thing with my ethnicity. I'm not overly descriptive about it. I do the same thing with, you know, all aspects of my personality. I kind of want people to do their own deducing. I think that's the only fair way to kind of deal with the world.
In response to Frank Ocean's revelations, an American rapper called Lil Scrappy has been quoted on entertainment website TMZ, speaking out and coming out, in fact, in support, he says, of Frank Ocean, saying, and I quote, "I'm glad Frank Ocean came out, so all the real women who love to mess with real men won't get AIDS." What are your thoughts on that, Ben?
It's something that I don't know how, from the comment, he can say it's in support of him. It's something that definitely is not a supportive comment in any way, as far as I would see it, and I don't think anyone else would see that as supportive. So it's something that I couldn't understand when I saw it the other day. That it's definitely not something I would have ever thought and hoped someone would say. But unfortunately, it has been said. But it's comments like that make people stay in the closet.
Yeah, I think that the most important thing for me about that is the kind of, again, the image that it creates. The image it creates of men who date men, and the image it creates of women who date men, the image it creates of men who date women. I think that, you know, it's a very, as far as I'm concerned, I think it's a very closed way of viewing a group of people that I would imagine he probably doesn't come into contact with that much. So I think that it's, you know, it's a little bit, it's unfair and it's inaccurate as well. And I think that, you know, AIDS is a very, very serious issue that affects people who have heterosexual and homosexual relationships. And I think that is only going to bleed into the ignorance of people thinking, well, if I'm having sex with someone of the opposite sex, I'm not going to get anything. It's like, okay. And I don't, you know, it's this weird sort of, I don't know, sexual blame game that I think it's not in the interest of progress